All right. Welcome to today's webinar. We've got Jack Miller from Wells Dairy joining us, and he's going to be walking us through kind of their reliability journey at Wells Dairy, which is home of the infamous Blue Bunny ice cream, something I'm sure we're all enjoying a lot of this summer. So without further ado, I will turn the screen over to Jack and let him share with us his story.
Well, thanks a lot, Maureen. I'm going to go ahead and take over the screen here, I believe. I'm going to take it over. There we go. All right, can you see my screen okay?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for taking the time out of your day to join us today, and hopefully I can give you some information that's useful to you and maybe some helpful tips in putting together your compressed air leak program. As Maureen said, my name is Jack Miller, and I'm with Wells Enterprises, and unfortunately, I've been here for a long, long time, so you would think I would have everything figured out, but I'm still learning every day, and I'm going to share some of that with you. Just a little bit about Wells' history. We were founded in 1913 by Fred Wells, and what he did was he purchased a local milk business, and it included a horse and a wagon and a few cans and jars, and the goodwill of the business. And 103 years later, here we are. We produce tons and tons and tons of ice cream, which is everybody's favorite. We employ 2,500 people, and we produce over 150 million gallons of ice cream annually. So one of the interesting things about us, as you can see there on the left-hand side, is our purpose statement. It's pretty unique, you have to admit. It's to bring joy to everyday life because of the love of ice cream. So for one, I probably like that ice cream a little bit too much myself, but that's just one of the benefits of working in an ice cream factory. You can see below that we have our two major facilities. They're both located in Le Mars, and the air surveys, leak surveys I'm going to speak with you about today have been at both of these facilities, although we do some minor work in our other outlying buildings. It's mainly focused around our two largest production facilities. Some trivia for you is that ice cream capital of the world is Le Mars, Iowa. We were officially designated that a while back because there's more ice cream produced in Le Mars by a single company than any other city in the world. And that is a lot of ice cream. You know, how much ice cream is a lot of ice cream? Well, it's funny you should ask. We milk 90,000 cows daily for our output and product, which is amazing. I can't imagine how far the trucks must come from, because I know we don't have 90,000 cows here in the little town of Le Mars, but it just kind of gives you an idea of the size of the operation. Some of you may be familiar with our Blue Bunny Big Bopper ice cream sandwiches. Oh, they are so good. If you were to stack all of those Big Bopper sandwiches on top of each other, they would reach 500,000 feet into the sky annually. That's a lot of cookies. And for chocolate, we use the equivalent of 47 football fields, covered 1 inch thick in chocolate annually. 1 million strawberry pies a year. And Wells storage freezer, I don't know if you could see that in the previous image, but it's 12 stories high. So if you can picture this, it's a city block long and holds in excess of 53,000 pallets of ice cream. And by the way, it's at minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit in there. And if there's one thing our guys don't care for, it's having to find air leaks in the cold. It's a pretty tough job. But those are just some fun facts. I just want to get right into it here. And what our mission was to reduce our losses and increase our capacity at time of growth. The company is growing at a blistering pace. We're adding new equipment all the time, constantly, year-round. We're trying to get back to the basics to reduce waste. Okay, if you're increasing the size of your organization, the amount of equipment, you're obviously increasing the stress on your support systems. And one of the most notable systems that we have is the compressed air system. So we wanted to try to get back to the basics. Hey, reduce leaks, prevent leaks, understand those leaks. Is it based upon your installation practices? Are those leaks based on the spec of your equipment or your components? So as we were growing, there was a big rush to reduce those types of waste and create a long-term reliability trend. It's very difficult to do and to grow our capabilities. The day of realization. The day of realization was when we did our first air leaks.
Oh, Jack, I lost you there for a second.
Well, I'm still here.
There you are. Okay.
The day of realization for us was when we did our initial plant survey. Uh, when I was first introduced to the ultrasonic tool, I told them, I said, I don't think we have very many leaks. We'll find maybe two or three big leaks.
Oh no.
And
I just had you go out again, Jack.
really,
Yeah.
I wonder what we got going on here. I don't know. Maybe it's the wireless.
Did you buy a
So
wireless headset?
no, I
Oh,
have a
the wire.
hard-corded headset,
Oh,
but the location I'm in, I'm on the wireless network. So
oh, okay. All right. Well, this is bear with us, folks. I'm sure we'll get this going.
our initial plant survey ended up turning up 100 leaks. So I can't stress to all of you enough, even if you think your plants or your facilities don't have air leaks, um, as you see Buzz telling Woody here, there's air leaks. There's air leaks everywhere. So there's more leaks than what you realize, and one of the challenges we had was to set the level to decide how big of a leak constitutes repair. So you want to start with your low-hanging fruit first, right? Your big leaks, your big obvious ones, and then work your way down. So we set a precedent at a certain decibel level, and anything at that decibel or higher would have a work order for repairs. Now, this is a common mistake I'd like to share with everybody. If your facility is new to the concept of using the ultrasonic tools or fixing or repairing leaks, your maintenance department is not ready for this. Okay, so when you start to find these leaks, you need to integrate the work orders into the system slowly. One of the UE instructors had even told me this. He had told me, he said, go easy. You know, one of the most common mistakes is they find all these leaks and they slug the work queue with all these work orders for air leaks. And if the concept is foreign to your staff, they're going to say, "Hey, that's not important. I'm not going to do that. I have more important stuff to fix." Well, somehow I forgot that point that was made by our UE instructor while he was here. I put in all the work orders, and just exactly what he said would happen did happen. The work queue was overwhelmed. There was a lot of pushback. There wasn't a lot of education before we slowly started to introduce the work orders for the leaks into the system. So be prepared, take the time to talk to your support crews, explain to them what your mission is, what you're trying to save, how you're going to go about it, and assure them that there is savings associated with it and to prioritize them. I mean, our people's time is very valuable, and you need to communicate that as such before you start putting it into the system. Don't do what I did. Prepare yourself. You really have to take the time to invest in the equipment. One of the leak surveys that we did, there was a question on whether to buy one of the ultrasonic testers. Imagine our surprise when we did one air leak survey in a 2-day period that an annualized savings would pay for the tool and then some. So I encourage you not to be hesitant about investing in the equipment. It's amazing once you start looking around, and even if you have your UE rep come in and just even assess your area to show you and train you to identify some of the leaks for you, I think you'd be surprised what's out there. And investing in your people, there's a multi-layered point there. All too often, we all know, right? When times get tight, the budget gets tough, what is the first thing that always gets cut? It's always training. Training is always the first victim of budget cuts. We have to muster that cost because the most expensive, most productive tool or piece of equipment that you could ever buy is totally useless if you don't have the proper training for the people. And this tool is no different. Invest heavily in your people. The equipment is usually a one-time investment. Go into it with the understanding that investing in your people and training is going to be a consistently recurring cost. If you want to sustain those savings, it needs to be constant. And have a sustainable internal and external plan. Before you start, you need to begin with the end in mind. Do an assessment of your resources. What is it going to take me to carry out the leak survey? What do I need for equipment? What do I need for man hours? Okay, and that's usually where all of us stop. But at that point, a certain percentage of that investment in the program, a certain percentage of that should be for sustainable costs, because it's going to be a program that continually goes on, and how do you sustain the savings, internal and external. So you can take inventory of your own resources within your company, but also have an external plan. What is my vendor able to bring to the table? What type of skills, what type of training, what type of tools, what type of coaching, or what type of external software to calculate my savings. Make sure that you have a plan for that too. I mean, use all of the resources you possibly can to guarantee the success of that plan. In our case, what we did was we started out with one man and one tool. So we weren't really sure how to use it. Nobody could actually remember when we had gotten it or what the training consisted of. But everybody knew if you put the headphones on, you could hear stuff that you couldn't normally hear. So once again, invest in your equipment, invest in your people. When we started the program, it was one person and one tool. Then we went to a second tool, which was more ergonomic for people doing spot surveys or had to climb heights or had hard to access areas. They really liked the 3,000 on the right versus the 9,000 because it just made sense when you had to squeeze a guy into a tight spot, or if it was quicker or handier, it served its purpose. So we then acquired a 3,000. Then for advanced analysis, going from airborne to structure-borne and being able to load routes, as the program grew, we invested in a 15,000. So this is able to load routes into it, to do onboard analysis, and also to be able to load and unload routes for other management software for asset health assessment. The grease caddies were a very important part of it. If you're in any kind of industry and if you have motors, you understand the seriousness of over-greasing. So we took the time, and we currently have 2 grease caddies, and we're working on a plan to expand that program also. So as far as investing in your equipment, if you do the math and you look at the potential savings or avoidance that are available by understanding another method of being able to assess your equipment health, it's pretty easy to do. And invest in your people. Well, this is what we look like now. Through the development of the program, learning the different applications, where can I use it? Am I totally aware of the fact that there may be other opportunities? How long does it take me to recapture my investment? How many people do I need? What level of training do I need? Now, with all of these trained and certified people that we have, depending upon the type of work they do, some are certified. Some are trained. So they don't have a level 1 certification, but they have a 2.5-day orientation training on how to use their equipment. And it's very important when you do the training is to make sure that you get the maximum effectiveness out of that training. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. Take inventory of your resources. As I said before, how many people do I need for that next step in my air leak program? How much real estate am I going to cover? How often am I going to inspect that equipment for leaks? Maybe there's administrative too. I mean, if you're changing SOPs or you're changing standard works to set the route for your inspection, what do I need for people? What do I need for equipment? Training is key in this. I can't stress this to you enough. When you have a trainer come to your site, I'd like to ask all of you, how would you rather do it? Would you rather get a brand new tool and have a training on that brand new tool? So you bring in your maintenance department, you bring in 15 guys, and you have that one tool, and everybody gets to open the box that day, a brand new tool, and gets training that day. The next day, the trainer is down the road, and everybody starts using the tool. What does that turn into? That means the first experience that your people have with the equipment is after the trainer is gone. When you're learning a new system or a new tool, when do all the critical questions come? Because once you start using it, once you start seeing how it works, and you go out and you try to use it in the field, then you have really good questions, right? My suggestion is tee one up for your trainers. Tee it up for them. Because in the end, the trainer's going to win because they're going to be much more effective. Your people are going to win because they have enough experience that they're going to be asking the right kind of questions. And the company's going to win because you're going to get more results for your investment. Don't let the day the trainer shows up be the first time your people have touched the tool or put it to work or tried to use it, because it's too much information in one day at one time. You got to tee it up for the trainers. What we do is we have comprehensive training for the people who are going to use the tool before the trainer gets here. We give them assignments, we give them routes, we get them out there, we get them working on it, answer their entry-level questions if we can. We send them to the website. I know you guys do a great job with your webinars. I assigned the webinars out as resources when we first started the program. Even some of our users meetings, we went through the webinar so that the guys could see the training video. You know, they could see how it works, do a menu review, in addition, so that they're doing basic things with the tools. When the trainer comes here, they're ready and armed with questions. They've got some of the basic operation down. It's just a much more successful experience all the way around. So, get the most out of your dollars. Get the most out of your dollars. Tee one up for that trainer when they're here. Get the absolute best value you can out of it. And one of the things we say when you're building a business case is everybody's favorite radio station is WIIFM, right? Everybody knows this radio station. It's just very simple. It's what's in it for me. When you assess your resources, whether it be the management team in your plant or whether it be the utility provider in your area, or if it's you yourself and you're the program manager, or even the guys taking the survey, you have to ask them, what's in it for them? What's in it for them? And you need to understand that, and you need to be able to answer that if you want your program to be successful. Everybody has something to gain. Maybe it's a performance incentive that's going to be impacted. Maybe it's going to be a Department of Natural Resources and energy savings, or a greenhouse gas reduction emission through reduced utilities. Just find out what's in it for them. Find out what everybody has at stake from the success, and then work with that. Be persistently patient. I think we could probably say this on every single slide, whether it's with your training or waiting for your people to develop or being able to communicate the savings or the avoidance from your program. You have to be persistently patient. It takes time. And one of the most common analogies, everybody says the consumer, right? 5 to 8 exposures it takes the consumer before they decide they want to buy, right? So that means when you're sitting in front of the TV on Wednesday night and you're watching CSI or the History Channel or whatever you're watching, see that you have to watch that commercial 5 to 8 times before you say, maybe I should try that laundry soap, or maybe I should I should try that product, right? And the only exclusion to that is Blue Bunny ice cream, because you don't even need to see the commercial. You just already know it's the most fantastic ice cream. One commercial and you're sold. That's the only exception that I know of. But be persistently patient. It really, really does take time, because remember, you're not only doing a survey that shows a financial savings or an initiative for your company. You're trying to change a culture. You're trying to change a culture in the way they look at a condition that exists in our facilities everywhere. So I can't stress that enough. When we reviewed our results, as your program matures, you see some examples here. This is a calculation sheet that we got from our UE rep, and we have used it as our standard since we began the program and started to develop it. There's a lot of handy information here. You determine your line pressure at your leak, the amount of decibels that leak is at the standard distance for measurement, and it'll actually do the calculations for you. You can enter the value. We add other information such as what is the work order schedule, so we can trace it back to see if it's repaired or not. Once it's repaired, you can put in a yes, and once you enter that yes, it shows as the cost avoidance has been identified and it has been repaired, and it's a good tracker. It tells you what percentage of the items that you have found you have repaired, right? Because we don't save any money by identifying leaks. We only save money by repairing leaks. So I encourage you to make good use of this. There's a utility calculator in there, so you can adjust the utility calculations for your area. And it also does the CO2 and NO and SO2 greenhouse gases that are emitted from your local power cooperative. So in your green initiatives, you can also quantify some of those savings. Just like to share with you, these aren't actual results, but I put something together here to show you. Take the opportunity when you review these results. Your compressed air loss program is a small part of a bigger picture. I encourage all of you to dig deeper for the additional details, because as your air program, your air leak program develops, what is the next step of maturity? In our case, what we do is we incorporate our air leak system, our air leak program, with some of our FMEA initiatives. And what we ask is when it's not enough for you to go out, identify the leak, quantify it, report it, but also tell us what item failed in that process and why did it fail. And that's a failure item and a failure mode. You can customize this sheet. So the next initiative in our program is tell me what failed, tell me why it failed, and then now I'm going to look for trends as a program develops. Is there a particular item that we're having a challenge with? So if I have 71 of these particular items that fail in a year, I'm going to start taking a look at those items. Are they out of spec? Or are they improperly installed? Are they at the end of their life cycle? So this is the next step in the maturing of the process. But I strongly encourage you to use the calculation sheet. It's extremely helpful. There's multiple types of air at your facility, whether you use compressed air or you use argon or other types of gases. All of that's provided for you. You can change your system pressure for your leak. You can change it down in different increments if you have regulated air or if you're using straight plant air. So it is a very, very helpful tool, but always dig deeper for hidden details as your program matures. So review your results. I mean, I think this is pretty obvious. You want to review what worked and what did not work. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. Did you have any near misses or near hits? Everybody's familiar with the concept of a near miss, right? The problem is a near miss, it's entirely in a reactive context. How about any near hits? When's the last time we had any project or any process or something we tried and we said, you know what? We almost accomplished our goal, or we almost discovered something else that is even a greater savings than our initial thoughts, or a greater avoidance than the target we're after in something we didn't even realize. If you're going to sit down with your team afterwards and talk about a near miss, that's a negative encounter. That's a negative experience. How about a positive experience? We almost hit this goal, or we almost found something else of even greater or equal significance in the process. So it's important that you review that, and it's important that you get that feedback. Another thing we always ask is, did anything non-typical affect the outcome? Was there some condition that was unique at the time, whether it had been maybe system repairs that someone wasn't aware of, or did your weather or something else affect the conditions in your test, and did it affect it? Reapplying things and lessons learned as we go forward is probably one of the most difficult things. It's part of that sustainability picture, but always ask your people, they're going out, they're concentrating, they're doing these surveys, they're doing these routes, and you say, hey, do you know anywhere else where we use these? Well, yeah, we use them over in this old area, this other area that I used to work in. We have 6 or 7 of them there. Really? Do you feel that this failure that you found, or this leak, this inherent leak, either by the items that we use or the way the system's set up, do you think you could save that same money in this other application over here? Well, sure. Well, great. I mean, you get multiple times the result from the same work or the same discovery. So reapply it as often as you can. I mean, review it with your people on certain increments. To ask them if they know anywhere else that this system is in place, or this item is in place, or do we see this same challenge somewhere else? I mean, give yourself a chance to get multiple victories off the same work. The hidden details, as I said, keep digging deeper. That's one of the benefits of that calculation sheet, as you can customize it. We'll soon be working into our third level of results in our air leak surveys. As we continue to improve the system, we're going to start asking for more detail that allows us to be more proactive. Start working more on being more reliable. I strongly encourage anybody that has an air leak system, you need to take the time to check with your state natural resources organizations. As we research this, there are a lot of incentives or initiatives that are available with your local power cooperative or your state natural resources organizations. In our particular example, we even had an intern from our Department of Natural Resources that he just left on Friday, that he worked with us, and that was his mission, was to find air leaks and to convert that into SO2 and other greenhouse gas calculations as an initiative for the Department of Natural Resources. So I strongly encourage all of you to find out what's available in your state, work with your power provider. I mean, most of them have a great website set up now. You don't even have to talk directly to anyone. You can actually go to the sites. You can see what's available. There's tons of information available out there. Once again, as we said, take inventory of your resources. How about being able to add an intern for 12 weeks out of college, the engineer, or of some other type of capabilities to work with you on this initiative, or a key part of this initiative that feeds your air program? Well, it was an almost impossible journey, but I'd like to ask all of you, I mean, some of you may have a compressed air program, or thinking about a compressed air program, or maybe you've been at it for multiple years. Maybe you're way ahead of it. But what if you could reduce the total CFM usage at your plant? Being able to mitigate the installation of another air compressor just by making more efficient use of what you already have. Just the thought of being able to make that system more efficient and prevent the expansion or delay the expansion as much as possible is a huge savings. What if you could add throughput without adding infrastructure? You identify the leaking valves, you don't have to add more compressors. What if you identified and eliminate steam trap leakage? That's one of the things that we're moving into now is the ultrasonic use for steam trap. It's the logical next step in the systems that we have. So now we're going to have to do steam trap training. So hopefully maybe we can get just as many guys sent there too. What if you could sell the idea of loss prevention across the entire team? Once again, the what's in it for me. If you can show what's in it for each of the groups involved, after a while it's a lot easier to change that culture. What if you could teach old dogs new tricks? We have guys that said, "Oh, I'm not going to touch that piece of equipment. It's a computer with a handle on it. I'm not going to touch it." Well, that's true. Almost every electronic device has a processor in it anymore. But once they understand the technology and they can be proven to that it works, hey, age isn't a factor. And what if your mission, should you choose to accept it, really isn't impossible? And I have to agree, since you're here, we're going to assume that you've accepted a similar mission, and hopefully some of this information will be helpful to you. We do a lot of technical work. As you can see, some of the things that we went over, some of them are, a good part of them are on the soft skill side. So, and in our business, we have a tendency not to spend as much time in that arena, but I'd encourage you, up your soft skills game just a little bit, because the people are involved in everything that we do. So let's not forget about the soft skills. I hope you found some of this information useful here today, and thanks a lot for having me. And
Great. Well, thanks, Jack. Listening through all that, I think we can all agree we're all craving some Blue Bunny ice cream, or at least I know I am. So
remember,
that might
remember,
be
it's 5 to 8 exposures for anything else in life, but for Blue
right.
Bunny ice cream, all you got to do is see it or taste it once, and it's done.
You
Just
got that
remember
right.
that.
You got that right. Though the ads I've been seeing this summer have been quite clever with the Blue Bunny. It's they're pretty cute. But yeah, so I think we'll all be running out to do that. And boy, if I could give a gold star to a customer, I think it'd be you. Just listening to just kind of how you all went about everything, and how methodical you were, and really making sure you had, the processes and the procedures, and the plan in place. Is just so important. We'll go into different facilities and meet with folks, and boy, they got to go fish our gold briefcase with their ultra probe in it off of some shelf, and it's
Oh
got
yeah.
a layer of dust, and it's not that they didn't want to use it, or that they didn't find value in it, obviously, from the beginning. But like you said, if you don't have all those other things in place to support the use of it, and whatnot, it's going to become exactly that, a shiny tool collecting dust.
Hmm.
So this is a really great blueprint for folks, and hopefully everybody can kind of take some of those tips away with them, to make sure if they're getting a program set up, or if they're ready to kind of rejuvenate something. Lots of great advice in there. And certainly, as Jack said, we do have a lot of information on our website that can hopefully help folks. If energy conservation is something that you guys are working on, we've got tons of other webinars covering that topic, and all the applications. So use that, but also feel free to use, definitely use us. We want folks to have the experience that they're having at Blue Bunny, and to make the program really work. So if you need that help for us to come in there and help you kind of get that plan in place, and like he said, the training and all that, that's what we want. We like to see the equipment in use, and if we can be of assistance, that's what we're here for. So definitely reach out to myself, or any of the UE contacts that you guys might have in your contacts list, and we'll get it done. But thank you so much, Jack, for sharing this information. Really appreciate it. Really, really great stuff that you guys are doing there. And I hope everybody enjoys some ice cream tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
All
That's
right.
pretty much the thing to do.
That's the thing
Yeah,
to
we look
do.
forward. Yeah, we look forward to growing the program. I know that one of the things that was a big eye opener for us, Maureen, was when not you in particular, but one of the training exercises that we did, I actually asked the instructor to evaluate us. You wouldn't believe the look on his face. He said, "What?" I said, "Honestly," I said, "I want you to evaluate us as bringing you in as a trainer, as a customer, how good of a job did we do, preparing these people to be trained? Did we have the equipment you needed? Did we have, that's a real eye opener. First of all, when you have a vendor or somebody that serves you, when you ask them to do that, they're in total disbelief because they never get asked that.
Right.
But that's the truth. These people, they train for a living. They will tell you this is effective in this manner. It wasn't effective in that manner. They do it thousands of times. They will tell you how well this training went, and they already know before they even leave how well it's going to go after they're gone because they've done it so many times. They are the expert. Why would you not work with them in advance to make the maximum effectiveness for everyone?
Yeah, and you read all these things on the blogs and things like that, and talking about they call it, I guess, the flipped classroom, and sort of the concept of,
Hmm.
there's so much information that you can easily get through reading the blogs,
Hmm.
reading textbooks, different, there's so much content out there. So do that first, and everybody has access to the internet. They can all gain
Yeah,
that 101 knowledge. You don't need someone to
yeah,
spout that off of some slides. And now you're ready, like you said, when the instructor's there, you already have that base information to really
yes.
make the most out of that training. So I think it's cool, and we're trying to do things to make that easier. We just launched our compressed air survey online course, so it's just a
I
self
saw that.
self regulated class that you take online. You do it on your own time at your own pace. But
Yeah, and
anybody
that's
doing that kind of
that's
thing, go for it.
yeah,
Take that.
that's a huge strength. Is to be able, with the webinars, as I mentioned earlier, it's flexible. It's
Yep.
flexible. They can do them at their own pace. I mean, when we talk about taking inventory of your resources, make use of them, you're the most maximum effective time that you can attain. Well, those people you're going to train, they know when their 20 minutes of downtime or their 30 minutes of downtime is in the day. Why not take advantage of it to say, hey, before next week's training, I need you to do these two webinars.
Yep.
Do it at
Yeah.
their own pace. I mean, it's a huge resource because you can be flexible with it. It's not restricted by shift hours. If the day's not consistent the same way, they can take advantage with the downtimes as they come or the spare time. So it's a huge advantage. It's worked very good for us.
Yeah, well, awesome. Well, we plan to continue doing more things like that to make it easier. And as fun as it is to be able to travel to conferences and training, we know that's not always available for everybody. So the more content and info we can all get out there and take advantage of, I think it makes those in-person opportunities all the better. So that's great that you guys have seen that success. But all right, well, I hope everybody enjoyed this webinar. I want to thank Jack again. A great place to interact with people like Jack, and Jack himself is our LinkedIn users group. It's an Ultra Probe users group that you can find on LinkedIn. Just a great place, to kind of toss out questions or situations that you might be facing and kind of have that dialogue. Obviously it's still over the internet, but I think people can kind of get that sense of community and kind of share ideas and things like that. So these kinds of topics, I think, lend themselves pretty well to that forum. So definitely check that out. And with that, I guess we'll let everybody go and just say one more time, thank you, Jack.
So thank you very much for having me, Maureen, and thanks everybody for coming today. I hope you found something